For a company with 500 million in annual purchases, that is 10 to 25 million every year that is lost. If you're walking into a vendor negotiation with a spreadsheet or bullets, or bullets that you just built like last night, then you're already lost. The buyer typically has a PDF contract. And from the contract, they have a gut feeling that everything is good until they have a gut feeling saying it's not good anymore.
So welcome back to Bits and Bolts. Again, I'm Paulina. Today we're talking about something that costs businesses quite a lot of money every year. Vendor relationship management on gut feeling and Excel files. And today I have a special guest with me, Steen, CEO and co-founder of VendorTel, a platform that gives businesses complete control over their vendor contracts, incentives, and negotiations. And he has a very long career in connections of business challenges, digital solutions, and now he has turned that lens on one of the most overlooked problems in commerce, vendor management. Welcome to the show, Steen.
Thank you.
And could you share a bit more about yourself and your journey with our listeners?
Yeah, of course I can. So first off, my name is Steen, and I used all my life business developing. I worked with a lot of companies during my last job and my previous job before that, trying to solve the issues around why we are still stuck in the old way of doing stuff. And from that point of view, I started VendorTel. So what we are trying to solve here is everything that happens from a contract is signed until it's later on getting buried after X amount of iterations. So that was like clear and simple. Yeah.
So you figured this problem out somewhere, If we start from the number somewhere, if you could give me a real number, what is the average amount of unclaimed vendor incentive in mid-sized company is sitting on right now?
So this is just one of the things where there is a leakage. So the leakage is several places, but if you just talk specific into this, the number is 2 to 5% of the total supplier spend. So for a company with 500 million in annual purchases, that is 10 to 25 million every year that is lost. And that's just that one thing that is leaking.
That's very significant, especially if we're going to, bigger and bigger numbers.
Yeah. So if I can just add something to this, and because many people don't understand why they are leaking or how they are leaking, and many businesses are thinking, oh, our contracts are not that complex, or we know exactly how much we have earned, and that's perfect. But what we can see is that the ERP system holds the transactions, but the contracts holds like the business. So you do your business held up on contracts, and the connection between those two, that's the real gap. Nobody owns this gap before VendorTel.
So usually people in the organizations are not aware that they have this gap. Is it right?
Exactly. They think they are totally in control, but every time we dive into this, we find all of the leakages. Yeah.
That sounds like a great gap to close in a lot of organizations and help them get back their revenue, which they're missing here. Also, before you got into Vendorlock, you started your career as a head of marketing at Terminale and Semler Gruppen before moving into e-business consulting and eventually founding a SaaS company.
Yeah.
It's not traditional founder path. What was the turning point where you said, I need to build something myself, my own way, I want to...
Yeah, so actually when I first started this, or where I first met this issue, were actually back in the days where every year I got handed over like all of the documents of all of the vendors, and I was told, could you please just negotiate these so we get better terms? So that was back in the automotive industry, and I could see that the topic was always negotiate better terms for us to save money, instead of turning it around and looking into how can we actually have a good collaboration where both the vendor and we are getting the best deal out of it. So that was like the real tipping point for me. And if you look specific into VendorTel, the real issue were at a meeting where we were talking to a Scandinavian hotel chain, where one of the participants on that meeting just told us that he missed out on 500K because of only a lack of 50K purchase. So it was not that they couldn't have done the 50K purchase to gain those 500K in bonuses. It was just that they didn't know. They didn't know that it was so close to the next threshold, or the next tier of the threshold.
Yeah, so it was kind of like hidden added value which they were not aware of, which you
Exactly.
noticed that they have a problem with. So, and you noticed, and you kind of answer my next question, where then have you noticed the problem first time? And then you decided to go and start your own company. That was the first kind of aha moment.
Yeah. So that was the real issue, and then I started to investigate a little bit more and say, okay, this could just be like a one-off. But the thing was that everywhere where I ask about these questions, and that could be from one of the biggest companies in Europe to even the smallest companies in Denmark, the issue were the same, of course, with different amounts. But the thing with the contracts, where there are rebates or bonuses, discounts, all sorts of stuff, hides the same story, and the same story is you don't have the connection from your transaction into your contracts. So after you sign the contract, you put it into the F drive or the K drive or your SharePoint drive, or maybe on each of your employees' computers, and they are just stuck there and just hidden. So it's hidden value that you just have your contracts signed and stored, instead of actually used in the company.
Yeah, so you notice the pattern which you find as you need to solve to being able to provide the value. And as you mentioned, we have it in a lot of places instead of having it centralized. But to build something, you needed to also leave something behind. You worked as a partner in one of the top digital agencies in Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
And there was sacrifice of income tied to status and certainty. And we usually have a lot of people who go into entrepreneurship on the different stages of their career, in the beginning, a bit later. What was your first feeling? And okay, I'm doing this change. And after you made it, have you felt any uncertainty, anything? Or you were sure? Okay, that's my journey. It's all on you instead of having a team at the beginning, especially.
Yeah, everything is on me. So yeah, and my team, of course. We are a small team. I'm not doing this by myself. We are more people in VendorTel. So what you mean is when I felt like the need of building something myself, or is it?
It's more a change, from being within the organization, which is already built and structured and more mature, to going to building something, at the beginning it's yourself, or maybe yourself and a very small team, which you build with the time. And, the responsibility usually changes where you have, suddenly you're responsible for everything.
Yeah. So you mean the difference between how it is to be in a bigger company and now being a scale up? So of course, when you look at the being part of a bigger company, you can say everything is structured. There is like a team around you, so you don't have to look into licenses for Microsoft, for example. You don't have to look into these or that. You have different people taking care of different setups. And when you're doing everything yourself, you are pretty much alone. And you have to be in control with everything, and you have to know where is the receipt on this, or where is where do I purchase an extra licenses for that, or all of these. So we also had to take our own medicine and using VendorTel for ourselves, because we also have contracts and we need to store them somewhere, and that's actually, now I already said it wrong, because we don't store them. We put them in there to make them work for us. Yeah.
I think that's the best proof of your own product, that you
Exactly.
work it for your own benefit.
Yeah.
And as mentioned, you do. So who would be your ideal customer for VendorTel? You said you are your own customer in some ways because you use your own product.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
besides yourself, who else could come and use your product?
Yeah, I would say that if I look from a helicopter perspective, we wouldn't be our ICP, because our ICP is like companies with some complexity. They maybe have complex purchase systems, or they already have some maturity within a CLM system, or they have a structured way of doing the business. So the ideal customer is a mid-market company with around 10 to 500 million euros in revenue. They are typically within wholesale, retail, manufacturing, or hospitality. They have more than 20 active supply contracts. Now we're talking supply contracts, but it could also be customer contracts. It could also be facility management contracts, or we have even seen companies having lease contracts for their stores, or whatever, where they are tied up on the revenue of each store. So it can be all sorts of complex contracts, and complex is where there are more than two people that are working for the contract. That is complex, because two people working together around a contract and trying to get the ERP data connected with the contract. It's a lot of work. Yeah, you can say. And yeah.
Yeah, work and complexity. And you mentioned complexity and your ideal ICP, and some of it, big consulting firms, they claim that they solve it. Where do you
Yeah.
think is the issue there, which they don't see, which you are targeting, or?
Yeah. So respectfully, they solve a different problem. They solve the problem either where they have the contract, so they are negotiating the contract and bringing the contract towards a signature. That's one of the companies you're talking about here, and other companies, which are the ERP companies, they are solving the problem that they have all of the transactions data. So what we are solving is the gap between those. Yeah. So they are not lying when they're saying they're solving a problem. They're just solving a different problem. So ERP records the transaction, and CLM. Now I'm saying CLM, I mean contract lifecycle management, because maybe people out there all of them don't know there is something called CLM systems, but they manage the document. A consulting firm audits what you already lost. So there's also companies tracking that. So you already lost this. and none of them are owning the financial reality between the contract and the transactions. So that is the gap that we are trying to solve. And the contract says that you're owed a 3% rebate if you hit a 2 million purchase volume. The ERP says that you bought for 1.9 million across 3 entities. Nobody is connecting the fact that you haven't passed the threshold, and now the deadline is due, and you're calculating this way after it's too late. So the contract's performance problem is that you're not tracking these in real time. So you don't get any alerts today. You don't get any reports saying you are so close to hitting the next tier, or you even have to invoice, or you have to get a discount on the next purchase or something. But you have to mention it to your vendor or your customer, and that's the category that we have built in VendorTel.
Yeah, so as you mentioned,
did it make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned that you are covering different pieces of the process and different pieces of the market, and it's not that you go and solve the same problem. You are solving different problems within the same market, which the others are not covering. So, for example, the monitoring of where is the threshold, what is the usage, is the next tier, and so on.
Exactly. And the thing is, they are looking much into storing the contract and storing the files, making sure that you can negotiate the contract perfectly. And after you have negotiated the contract and you have signed it, you just store it. And the how do you say it? The consulting firms are making sure that you do it from the best way possible, or making sure that now we're building in these processes around the rebate structure to make sure that you earn more money. But the thing is, you can sit and negotiate a contract for several months, and once you agree all around the table, you maybe do a high five with your customer or your vendor and saying, now we're going to do a collaboration and this is going to be good. But the money is earned when you execute on the contract, not when you do the signature. So that's one of the big things here.
Exactly. Signed contract doesn't mean that you earn money already.
No,
you need to
exactly.
act on it,
Yeah.
and get the value delivered, and then get the payment, and so on. And
Exactly.
there is a bunch of complications coming with it. And let's talk a bit about the market and the future, how this looks like. We are in the moment where, supply chains are quite under pressure. We have a lot of geopolitical things that influence the inflation, and that influence the margins as the, consequence of it.
Yeah.
And part of it, we have vendor relationship that have becoming more and more strategic. I can see it even from business size as mine is to, for sure, even bigger ones. Do you see that it shifted the power balance? Are the buyers where is the balance between buyers, vendors? Who's pulling the cards right now?
Yeah, you can say the balance is shifting, but slowly. And here's why. Vendors have always had like the better data about what they sold you, and what I mean is they have better data of what they've sold you than you have on what you bought from them. So they know the volume, they know the patterns, they do know all of the dependencies and stuff. So the buyer typically has a PDF contract, and from the contract, they have a gut feeling that everything is good until they have a gut feeling saying it's not good anymore. So you can say that it is changing because you do get more and more insights, but it's shifting slow. you can say. Yeah.
And
Yeah, so the PDF as a gut feeling is like the best way I can paint this picture, because we all, I think every company out there has tried to have a contract with somebody and everything was good, and then suddenly something felt off, or felt like we got a gut feeling that something is off, and then we looked into the contract and figured out that, we're paying for transportation, but we agreed on the contract that we shouldn't pay for transportation. And that's where you actually figure out that the contract is more than just a piece of paper or legal work.
Yeah, so you usually verify a bit to, in practice that, okay, something is wrong, and then you verify it with the contract, where are we? Do you think that, this power shift also, and, how much data we have, and that we are more and more data driven, changes the negotiations between both sides?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely changes the negotiation on both sides, because you can say that if, let's say that you're purchasing a product where your margins is dropped from 8 to 5%, suddenly the unclaimed 2% rebate is no longer nice to have. It's like survival. So you need to have better data insights, and therefore also better negotiations over time.
Yeah, it's becoming be or not to be on the market, because if you don't have enough margin, you're gonna get off the market at some point.
Exactly, and the honest answer is, if you're walking into a vendor negotiation with a spreadsheet or bullets, or bullets that you just built like last night, then you already lost. That's just the fact. You need to have the real insights from what did we do, and how did we do it last year, and what is our impact on the company if we buy this product instead of that product, and to this price instead of that price, and also building the right foundation for how we collaborate internally. So a rebate structure can be many things. It can be everything from market developing funds to a direct rebate or a discount or something. It can also be campaigns structured in a way where it becomes like your pure business. So you need to understand how the company or how the your buyers is purchasing for you, and then from there you need to do the exact thing towards your the exact same thing towards your vendors.
So you need hard data from your company, and based on this, you need to get your outcome conclusions and outcomes, and see how that's gonna impact your business, whoever you're gonna choose as a vendor. Or...
Yeah. Maybe put it into categories where you have, companies have category managers as well. Put it into categories where you know exactly where your products are selling, and combine those transactions with the existing contracts, because that is where the gap is, and you can use that data to negotiate even better contracts in the future. If you have like the live vision, so you know exactly these products are selling best in the spring and these are selling best in the fall, that's something that you can measure. But all of the things in between that, from what's happening externally and internally in your company, that is where the real gap is, and that's something that you need to measure to have those data connected as well.
Yeah, always get the data to see where is the issue actually, and analyze it.
Yeah. Let's say that you do your calculation, like year-end calculation. Mm-hmm. Then you're already too late, because you're just doing business in blindness year round, and then after year end you figure out, we were just we're just X amount of hitting the threshold. But if you had like the real-time data and the insights during the year, you could have done a better deal. If, let's say, it was impossible to reach those thresholds, you could see that, let's say that in February you were off the target with 10%, and in March it was 15%, and then in April it was 60%. And now I'm just painting a picture. Then you had like the opportunity to go back to the vendor and saying, we can see that this threshold is like impossible to reach. So either we do a new contract or negotiate new terms, or we just have to admit that we're not going to hit this threshold, and we have to focus on other products.
So one thing is planning, another thing is verify it all the time. Where are you versus your planning, and when you can, that gives you enough data to being able to renegotiate with your vendors, for example. And that's powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
And right now we are in AI boom stage.
We are.
We're talking about data also, on which AI is running a lot as well. And AI can read, summarize, flag the issues, and in the contracts within seconds what before human was doing. So the role is also shifting. How do you think that influence the product? Does it make it 10 times more powerful? Does it mean that problem eventually solves itself?
I really love this question, actually, because AI does not solve the problem. It unlocks it. So yeah, AI makes us 10x more powerful, because the hard part was never reading the contract. The hard part was connecting the two dots where the contract says what actually happened in the business. So connecting the contract to what happened is like the key here. And AI can extract every clause in 60 seconds. Sure it can. And it can do it multiple times. If you have like 100 contracts, it can do it on 100 contracts in 60 seconds. But then what? You need to financially match those terms that you have in the contract to real transactions, and calculate whether you hit we hit the thresholds or alert before the deadline passes, as I spoke about before. This is like the connection between the real world and the contractual world. So we need to know if we will hit the threshold, and not calculate it after the deadline has passed. So and we need to trigger those settlements or claims, if you might say that. I wouldn't say claims, because if people say claim, they think this is this is another topic. But we need to claim those money that we are owed, and we need to claim those money that we have earned. So I said claim anyways. So this is not like a language model problem. This is like financially orchestrating the problem. So if I can say it like this, AI made the front door faster, but VendorTel is like the entire house behind it.
Yeah, so it's only automating and speeding up the part of the process, not everything. It makes better to analyze the contracts, connect some dots within it, but then you need to being able to go and claim this money with the vendor and so on. And that how we go also, because AI is also becoming autonomous with all the agentic AI and so on. When we go to the next level, and we're talking about not only task automations, which is, for example, reading the contract, but we're also looking to role automation itself when the agent can act on. Where do you think in the vendor management that fits in? Where is the human in the loop, and where does the agentic AI finishes? Because that's something where we see the change in a lot of different industries as well.
Yeah. So I think the key message here is that the agents should do everything that humans forget. That's like the key message here. So the human should still own every decision that changes a relationship. So So a fully autonomous agent in vendor management would do three things: monitor every contract threshold in real time, of course. That's what we do. Flag when you are about to miss or hit a target, and generate the financial documentation automatically. So no humans is needed for that. That is pure computation, and it should never be a human required into those processes. Where the human still stays in the loop is the relationship layer. So should we consolidate volume with the supplier to hit the next tier? Should we renegotiate or switch? Should we do X, Y, Z? So this is where the human gets into action, and the human judgment of the contract and trust, or not contract, the context and the trust is still something where we humans are in the loop for making the final decision, and from the information that we can get from the AI. So the human makes the decision and takes actions, and this split is where the real value lives, actually. I think, yeah. If I really think about it, it's more a thing where we should take all of those processes and we have in the company, make sure they are connected and all of the dots is tied up. And then you get some insights, and from those insights you can get some recommendations, of course. But it needs to be a human doing those or making the final decision on those recommendations.
Yeah, so AI is supposed to help you automate, get all the stuff which are boring, take time, and can be automated, reading the contract, see if it's updated.
For some people, that is, so sorry, I'm just interrupting, because for some people it's reading a contract is not boring, but for most people it's boring.
I'm talking, sorry, I was not precise enough. I meant for majority people, unless you're into it, most people, everyone has some contracts in their life, and everyone who has company has multiple contracts, but not everyone is specialized and is the most interesting in focusing a lot of time on it. So that's where you bring the value with AI, where you can get a lot of information and analyze it, and then the human can come and bring the value by taking a decision based on this. And a bit off topic, you spent also some years in the advisory board member for Canborg Racing, completely different than vendor and contract management. How do you think this experience, on the advisory board help you grow?
Yeah, that is totally different, and totally different industry. First off, it started somewhere else, but it was also very, how can I say, it was a lesson learned for me, because when you go into racing, you know that racing is all about optimizing everything. The winners of racing are the ones that have optimized everything, and even down to the smallest percentage. So if I should say something and I learned from that, and again, this is totally different industry and context, is that we can always be just 5-10% better than we are today. And if we have that mindset, we can win the race. So that was what I got out of that experience there. But again, it's totally different from the vendor contract management and the contract performance management, because no performance management racing, there is some similarities, but again it's totally different.
Yeah, but I think you mentioned something. I have past experience in swimming, competitive swimming. So I had the same lesson, which I bring right now to consulting, IT consulting industry. You can always improve. You can always find something what can be a bit better, and if you stay consistent long enough, usually you can win. Versus if you give up, which is completely, it has nothing in common if you look into higher picture.
Yeah, so success is success for a competitive swimmer is 1% talent and 99% never giving up.
Exactly, and here I think it's the same what you could
Yeah,
bring from racing. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't have more, longer questions, but I have few last questions for rapid
Yeah,
fire
yeah,
round
yeah.
for you, and then we can
Tell me
close
the
down.
rules around that because I seen it before in your podcast, but yeah, could you just explain me the rules before we go into it?
General idea is to answer first thing which comes to your mind within few seconds and shortly, to don't give like very long answer for it. That's the
Yeah,
general idea to, see what comes to your mind and just say it.
yeah.
And it's not
Okay.
really questions which you have like expanded. They're not very open. They're not very long. It's more like this or this.
So just one sentence and that's it. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I am.
Great. What's the single most common lie vendors tell their buyers?
That you claimed everything you were entitled to.
If you can fix one thing in how businesses manage vendors overnight, what would that be?
Connect the contract content to your ERP data. Just that. Everything else follows.
Spreadsheets for vendors management, harmless habit or silent financial crime?
Silent financial crime. And everyone knows it, but nobody wants to admit how much it costs actually.
In 5 years, will AI be negotiating vendor contracts? Yes or no?
Preparing them, yes. Signing them, no. Trust still requires human.
So we are shifting in the process, but we are not there yet.
I think we still need to have human trust into the equation.
One skill that helped you the most in your career?
Yeah, this is tricky actually, but maybe listening to what people are not saying. The real problem is never the first thing they tell you.
Okay, so
I
dig
think
deeper.
that was a bit deep. Sorry.
No, I'm saying that when you need to dig deeper to get to know what actually they're not telling you.
Yeah, the skill is to understand what is between the lines. Yeah, that was what I tried to say. So
yeah, great. I think that's many people don't look into it. A founder who inspires you the most, people have never heard of.
yeah, my idol is Marcus Lemonis. I don't know if you know him. He was known from the TV program. I think it was called The Prophet. And what maybe many people don't know is that he actually also have his actually runs businesses, and he does it on a certain way. It's people, process, product in that order every single time because that framework shaped like how I think in building VendorTel as well. So people, process, product. We need to
I
understand
usually run
people.
like this in consulting, that you need to cover all of it: people, process,
Yeah,
and the product or the tooling. So
exactly.
completely agree.
Yeah.
Which one?
And sorry, before you say the next one, and if you haven't like seen or read about Marcus Lemonis, you should definitely do it. He's like a genius.
I'll take a look. I have very bad memory for names, so maybe I heard of his work, but I don't connect the dots with the name. But thank you. I'll
Okay.
double check. Which
Okay.
one simple habit or non-fancy tool do you use most in your daily work to stay effective as a leader?
People who know me maybe don't see it, but actually I have a morning push-up routine. So I use it every morning to clear the mind and get ready for the decisions I have to make during the day.
Yeah, definitely. I can also recommend the physical activity.
Yeah, it can something, and if you don't have that much time, a push-up routine is actually quite easy to implement. I can say my push-up routine is like the week number plus 10 every day.
Yeah, exactly. You
So
don't need much. You just need a bit to being able to get it. So before we close down, do you have anything more? What would you like to share with people? Also, where to find you and what do they should do? Before to reach to you or when they
yeah,
reach to you. Is there anything they should be prepared for?
yeah, definitely. So if I should say something this week before you do anything or you look at any tools, including VendorTel, you should do this one thing: pull up the top 10 supplier contracts by spend, search for the words rebate, bonus, discounts, and target. Count how many incentive structures you find, and then you can go to finance and ask, how many of these did we claim in full last year? If you do not like the answer, and many people, or actually most people, don't like the answer, that's your starting point. You do not need a software for that. You just need 30 minutes and the courage to look into it. And if the number scares you, you know exactly where to find me.
So is it something what you also can help with?
Of course I can, but you still need to find the contracts. If you struggle finding the contracts, that's your starting point.
Yeah,
but if you find the contracts, if you start finding the contracts and you start finding those words, and finance don't know where to look for it, that's another issue. But we can help you.
So there is multiple issues which we can look into, but that's something
Exactly.
what I should start from.
Exactly.
Or whoever is looking into it. Great.
Yeah, and then you know exactly where to find me.
Definitely. You mentioned LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, definitely. Definitely LinkedIn.
We will link to your LinkedIn below, another
Thank you.
twister, and your company.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today.
You're more than welcome anytime. Looking forward to see this live.
Me too. Thank you. That's it for today's edition of the Bits and Bolts with Paulina. Did you like what you heard? Of course you do. Tell your friends.